candidate for this Tennessee Senate 5th District.
I don't want to be here today. This morning, we buried my mother-in-law, Pat Williams. She was 67 years old. She was a lifelong resident of Lenore City. She died of ovarian cancer. I don't want to be here today, but it's important for me to be here today, not for your votes. Your votes are one thing. I am here because of a matter of life and death. But let me tell you a good story first, a nice story, a story with a miracle in it. I have a friend, Audrey. About 5 years ago, she was diagnosed with MS and ALS. It was a death sentence for her. She had 5 years to live, they all said. There was nothing further they could do for her. So she went outside the medical system and our legal system and used a product that is illegal in our state, CBD oil based on cannabis. Some of you know cannabis as by its other name, marijuana. This year, Audrey got a different diagnosis. She went back to the doctors. They checked her over, looked for the ALS, looked for multiple sclerosis, and found nothing. She's cured. It is a miracle. Now, miracles are great, and miracles are from the Lord above, but sometimes we have to give them a little help. And we need in this state a medical cannabis program. 29 other states have medical cannabis programs. We had an opportunity in this state to have one, and it was killed. It was killed in our state Senate. It was killed by our state Senate leader, my opponent, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. I didn't want to run for office this time. I ran for Congress, U.S. House of Representatives, District 2. I did better than any Democrat had ever done in the district, at least since 2000, and probably before, because I don't want to go looking back that far. You know, I can sit here and tell you the stats about medical cannabis. I can tell you that the first studies in 1974 showed that cannabis can kill cancer cells. I can tell you that there are between 1,000 and 1,500 new studies every year that show the efficacy of medical cannabis for conditions such as PTSD, epilepsy, cancer, chronic pain, and opioid addictions. There are 26,000 published peer-reviewed studies, and 140 clinical research studies have been done showing that medical cannabis can provide medical relief for many conditions. And then let's not even talk about the social costs involved with keeping a prohibition on cannabis. Did you know that Tennessee is the 5th largest cultivator of cannabis in the United States? We're going downhill though, and back in the 80s, we were number 2. Can you imagine the tax benefit if we could regulate and tax it? We're seeing these benefits already in states like Colorado and California. California's reported over $1 billion in tax revenues from legal recreational cannabis in 6 months. You know, I know you're all concerned about your taxes, and the biggest tax burden we often face is our own sales tax. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could reduce our sales taxes by 0.5%? And it is possible. We can do it. We just have to remove the prohibition on cannabis. 65% of our prison population, 65%. You know, it costs more to send people to jail than Yale. And that's still true in this county. We can send people to UT for less than it costs us to put in our Loudoun County Jail. And let's not forget the $24 million expansion we've just had to do. How much is that based on cannabis prohibition or people who just need medical cannabis for their own conditions getting into trouble because our laws are antiquated. 29 other states have medical cannabis programs. We don't. Do you know, recent polling shows that 80% of people polled in the state of Tennessee favor a medical cannabis program. 80%. You know, I can be up here all day and I can tell you all the great things and everything, and you say, you know, that's a good idea. Why don't we let people make their own decisions? You know, it's not up to you and me. It's not up to even us as the voters. 80% of us favor this, and yet your state senator, our lieutenant governor, Randy McNally, when it came time, after Ed passed through our Republican House, with Republican support by Representatives Faison and in the Senate by Representative Dickerson, it got to the Senate, and our head of the Senate, the lieutenant governor, killed it. Thank you.